thunder. Or at least, that's how it sounds at first. The clouds above you swirl as the wind whips past you, getting stronger and stronger, till you have to cling desperately to the nearest secured object to avoid being blown off your feet. Through the hurricane of dirt and dust, you can make out a shadow falling on the city. A great worm is visiting. My first video on this channel is me discussing my dissatisfaction with how huge and gargantuan creatures are handled in 5e. If you haven't already seen it, I highly recommend you check it out, but the basic gist is that a creature so big making one attack against one creature makes no sense to me, so I wrote up rules for allowing their attacks to target an area. I initially thought to change them from attacks to areas of effect, but ran into some problems with breaking a lot of PC features I didn't intend to. But my dissatisfaction doesn't end there. I am not the first to suggest that Gargantuan as a size cap isn't enough. That having creatures of vastly different sizes share similar statistics is bizarre and often nonsensical. And indeed, in older editions you had size categories like Colossal for this very reason. However, an issue that arises with just adding more categories is there's always a bigger fish. Say you make the largest size category the size of a universe. What category do you give a monster the size of 4 universes? There obviously has to be a cutoff point where you stop adding size categories, and whether it's at the size of a mountain, at the size of a country, or the size of a planet is largely arbitrary, determined mostly by what the DM needs rather than what the system can provide. As I was idling with this thought 2 or so years ago, I was introduced to the idea of Titanic monsters. Now, I am not the one who came up with this idea. I was introduced to it in a preview of the Epic Legacy Tome of Titans Volume 1 by 2C Gaming. The preview showed off the Titanic Tarrasque. Titanic Tarrasque was a monster made up of several body parts, each with their own stat block, linked to an overarching stat block. And I fell in love with the idea of representing a sufficiently large monster with multiple stat blocks. After all, you could represent any monster you wanted in this way in up to a gargantuan-sized chunk. You want to have the party fight, and I mean fight, a moon? Well, if it's a similar size to our moon, you could represent that with 569,976 gargantuan stat blocks, if you hated your party. But say you wanted a dragon with a 60-foot wingspan and a body length of 75 feet. You could have a gargantuan body with a 30-foot line tail attack, a huge head that can be up to 10 feet away from the body for a 10-foot neck, and 2 gargantuan wings. Now, that's not to say I loved everything 2C Gaming did. I think they focused a little too much on lore accuracy and not on playability. This is a game, after all, and the mechanics are an abstraction of the narrative, so they don't need to be 100% accurate. But I think the core concept is amazing, so I wanted to give a go at adapting it and giving it my areas of attack. So I present to you my Titanic Tarrasque. The Terrasque has 1 body, 1 head, 2 arms, and 2 legs. While you can roll initiative for each limb, it is recommended to use their passive initiative. Instead of being a monstrosity, I decide its connection with the plane of Earth lands it the elemental creature type. I don't really like monstrosity as a creature type. I think it's mostly become where bestial monsters go, so the druid can't pick them for wild shape. So generally, I try to find another creature type that has a more solid identity for such creatures, be it making them beasts in the case of Onkegs, or for more magical creatures like lycanthropes, a thematic creature type like Fae due to their foundations in folktales, or celestials or fiends due to their nature supposedly coming from a deity in Forgotten Realms lore. For treasure, I say that the Terrasque's gullet has roughly 6010 times 10,000 gold in it at any given time, and 1d6 magic items. In addition, its shell can be used to make spellguard shields without requiring any gold, and a section of a tooth or nail can be used to make up to a +3 weapon without requiring any gold. The body has 21 AC rather than the Terrasque's usual 25, because it's less maneuverable than a full creature, with the main difficulty of hitting it being its shell and general toughness. So I give it the same AC as a +3 plate. Instead of its reflective carapace trait, I change its magic resistance trait to give all attack rolls from spells disadvantage against it. Then, if the Terrasque succeeds on a save against a spell, or an attack roll from one misses it, it can use its reaction to reflect that spell back at the caster, either making them the new target, or the centre of the spell's area. I also give it a reaction that triggers when it's hit with an attack of any kind, where if the attack was a ranged one, it reduces the damage, or if it was a melee one, the attacker is struck back for some damage. The basic idea here being the Terrasque is using its tail defensively. For actions, I give the body a tail, which is a strength saving throw in a 30-foot long, 10-foot wide line, targeting each creature and object that isn't being worn or carried in the area. Wait a minute. Saving throw? Didn't I just say I didn't make their attacks saving throws because it breaks PC features? I did, and you'll see later that I'm still using areas of attack, but in this specific instance, the tail inflicts the prone condition on a failed save, and I think the number of effects in the base game that auto-prone creatures where previously they would have gotten a strength saving throw was a mistake. I do agree with having things either be a saving throw or an attack roll to speed up play, but by making almost all instances of proning just an attack roll, you made strength, an already low value stat, even less valuable as a saving throw type. So, if I feel automatically applying a condition on a hit would invalidate a character fantasy, such as being the big strong barbarian with advantage on strength saves, I opt to make it a saving throw instead. I then give it the regenerate action and the transfer health bonus action. The body can heal itself for 10d20 as an action, then use its bonus action to transfer up to 100 hit points from itself to another limb. While the regeneration is unique to the Terrasque, the transfer health bonus action is a feature of my Titanic rules. The body can use the fact that it has the largest health pool to keep other limbs from dying so they can stay in the fight, effectively pooling their health together, but giving the party a chance to disrupt this flow a bit. For example, with the rogue's Daze Cunning Strike option, where they can force the monster to choose between transferring health or taking a body action. Finally, it has the Body of the Beast trait. This tells you, the DM, how this body part relates to the rest of the creature. In this case, if any other body part is forced to make a con save, the body makes it instead, as it's the centre of bodily operations. In addition, if the body is moved, so are the rest of the limbs. After all, it is the thing they're all attached to, so if you manage to shove the body back, its legs are going with it. Finally, if the body dies, so do all the other body parts. This adds a bit of risk to its ability to transfer health, and rewards the party for actually chewing through its immense health pool. For the head, I use the same AC as the body, except it's a little more mobile, so I give it the equivalent of half cover by bumping its dex modifier and therefore AC by 2. The head has a bite attack that hits in a 15-foot cube within 5 feet, and on a hit grapples and restrains each target. It also has the 2024 Terrasque's Thunderous Bellow as a ranged option to deal with those who would try and plink it with a bow from afar. It can then swallow creatures it has grappled as a bonus action, doing 10d10 acid damage to them at the start of the Terrasque's turns, as it digests them. For its reaction, I give it a lesser legendary resistance, where if it fails a mental save, it can re-roll using its wisdom, its highest mental save. Finally, it has the head of the beast trait, which states it cannot be further than 10 feet away from the body. If it ever would be, it's moved to remain at that distance. In addition, if any other limb is forced to make a mental save, that gets redirected to the head. And finally, if the body ends its turn with the head having 0 hit points, the Terrasque dies. For its arms, I give it 3/4 cover effectively, making its AC 26. It has a claw attack that swipes in a cone, and the block reaction where if another body part within 15 feet of the arm is targeted with an attack, the arm can make itself the target instead. Finally, it has the arm of the beast trait. Once again, it cannot be further than 10 feet away from the body, and if the body doesn't heal it while it has 0 hit points, the arm dies. This doesn't kill the rest of its limbs, however, as it's the equivalent of making the arm go limp, or perhaps even cutting it off. And finally, for its legs, I give it the same AC as the body, as the legs are more focused on keeping the Terrasque steady than on dodging attacks. It has a stomp action that attacks in a 15-foot cube, and its quaking stride action that triggers a con save in a 60-foot emanation. On a failed save, it takes some thunder damage, loses concentration, and if it's medium or smaller, it has the prone condition. Finally, it has the leg of the beast trait. Like the arms, if the body doesn't heal the leg at 0 hit points, it dies, but unlike the other limbs, if the leg would ever be moved more than 5 feet away from the body moves to remain within 5 feet, thus dragging the other limbs along with it. It's also important to note that while the legs have the walk speed, the arms have the climb and burrow speeds, as it's the claws that grant them that ability. All told, this Titanic Tarrasque has 1,245 hit points plus regeneration, has 4 reactions every round in addition to taking 5 turns, and does an average DPR of 270 damage per target. With all its limbs, it comes to a total of 154,800 XP, just 200 shy of the original CR30 Terrasque. And I think that's a small price to pay for this fundamental change in how combat works against it. Having to juggle between 5 different body parts, its overwhelming action economy, and deal with its regeneration if they decide to focus down on any given limb. If you like this video, consider subscribing and leaving a like. It really helps this video in the dreaded algorithm. And if you want a write-up of the above, please consider joining as a free member of our Patreon, where you can get not just my spin on Titanic monsters, but a villain party that makes use of monsters with reviving traits, alternate lycanthropes, how to create a god, prepping combats to be scalable, how to roughly convert 2014 monsters into 2024 monsters, and much more. And please stick around, we're a newly formed TTRPG design duo looking to make DM tips videos and create resources to help DMs with running the game. This video was decided by a poll, so I thought why not do the same for my next video? So the ideas that didn't win the last poll will be returning, which was talking about how to handle the new hiding rules, what you can learn from Pad by the Apocalypse games, and why I prefer D&D Next and 1D&D over 5e.